Hey everyone, welcome back. So we're going to make this really cute strip weaved frame. That's what I call it, strip weaving, because we make basically these strips of different weaved patterns in, the length that we would need to frame a stone. So it starts by creating a base frame, and you can learn how to do this in any one of my other videos. Most of my pendants start this way. There's a lot of people that start their pendants this way, so you might know how to do this base framing already. But basically I've taken 16 inches of 18 gauge round copper wire. I've shaped it to my stone, leaving just 1 or 2 millimeter, not 2 or 3, 1 or 2 millimeter around the stone. 2 millimeters is pretty good. 3, unless you want to do a lot of weave, but 2 millimeters is pretty good. Just like that. And I've tied up my bail just with a few wraps, and I'm leaving my half round wire on here. I'm going to cover the bail with wires, the weaved strips, so I don't wrap it anymore, but you could if you wanted to. And I brought both of these wires straight down the back of the frame. And I'm just going to make a little seat here for my stone by shaping these 2 inside wires. And what I need to watch for is that I'm going to attach wires up here to the top, right? I need to tie on somewhere. So I need to leave some type of space, either on this front frame or if I'm going to tie them both together, but I need some space to wrap onto. So this is about good, and my stone sits there, quite well. So these 2 wires just crisscross at the bottom tip here, just center to your bail. And when I get them, I'm just going to hold them and then turn them back to vertical, right there where they cross. It's not a big deal, just like that. Bring them straight down the bottom. I'll get a 6-inch piece of 22 gauge half round wire, and I'm just going to catch those two inside frame wires real quick. So I've got 6 inches of 22 gauge half round wire. I'll bend it in half, slip it through my frame here, and straddle these 2 wires. Just crisscross them in the back. Your flat side should be looking at you and against the frame wires there. So just loop them and catch them like that. Get a nice snug loop there. You don't have to kill it, just make sure it's tight. And then we'll take 2 or 3 wraps around each of these side frame wires. I'll flip to the other side here. Put a little slant on that one. Get it going through the frame. And you just want to keep these 2 wires here fairly center. We're going to cover it all up, so it's okay. Alright. Just like that. Then you can bring these over. Trim them out right there. Fold that little cut end over. Do this one. Fold that little cut end over. Just like that. And leave these 2 down here. Okay, Okay, so that's your basic frame for these, or at least for this shaped stone. This frame could be any shape, right? It could even be an odd shape for crystals. So pretty much you're going to do like this. Set yourself up in this way. Up here at the top is where I want to attach some wires, and I think I'm close enough to the sides here that I can do this comfortably, but I'm just going to take my plier and align this wire to the edge a little better. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just make a little outside bend so that you have a nice clean shoulder up here to tie into. Okay? It shouldn't affect the way your stone sits. It should be just fine. Just like that. If you want to use some half-round wire and catch the stone first, you can. I'll introduce you to some 18 gauge half-round wire. It's a little thicker. It's a great wire for catching your stones and securing them onto the frame. Just cutting about 6 inches. Oop, that one went on the floor, so I'll get 6 inches more. And half round has, remember, a flat side to it here, and then it has a domed side. Usually I use this half round here on the bale at 22 gauge, right? Much smaller. This is a lot larger. But it's great for getting the stone held down without adding too much, bulk. So I need to just catch these shoulders to help me, right? So I'm going to take my 6 inches of half round here. I'm going to fold over the upper couple of inches. Is all I need for this one. I'm going to slip it over the stone. It's a little bit squirrely. And hold it right here, flat on the stone, so that the flat side's on the stone, and just curve out right there, okay? Just curve out. When you get that curve, keep the half round. You can put the stone down so we know where we approximately want to be. You just want to take this half round and wrap it around the frame a couple of times. It's a little thicker, so give it some support with your fingers here. Get the half round on there. Keep it going in a way so that the flat side of it is still against the stone. Position your stone in here. Go a little lower. And I'll just bring this half round down on my stone. Get it under control, and then I'll bring it up here to you. It's a little hard for me to do in the air. Basically just get a nice wrap right there. Make sure, treat this like a ribbon. Make sure it's going in the right direction to lay down on your stone flat. And I like to just get it attached, to the frame here. So I'm holding everything. We'll adjust the stone in just a second. Get it on the frame here. I'm just going to shape it to help me hold my stone. Just pinching it right there. Go ahead and pinch this one up here too. I'm going to get it out of my way and snip it so you can see a little better. Just lay that cut down. So now I'm just going to try to shape it elegantly. Onto my stone here. Ooh, that hurt my hand. To help me hold it. And I can curve it out later, right? Ultimately, I would love it to have the slightest curve in it right there. I could probably do that if I hold on to it right here and just use my fingernail and push out a little bit. Just get a slight curve on it like that. Hold this spot here with the plier. All I did was use my fingernail to kind of give it a slight curve. It's a little awkward, but it gets your stone held in place, and then you can just decorate around it with your weaved strips, right? So I'm happy with that. I'll come back here and I'm going to get rid of this. Try not to crush that little pocket you made there. Then we'll get the other wire, kind of do the same thing, but now we have, you know, a model here. So I'm just going to get through here. I'll tie it on so that the long side is going up my frame. And I'll put it, you know, approximately where the other one is. Just work to try to keep that flat side down. I'll put my stone back in there. Get this laid down. Go ahead and pinch this right here and get a little curve on it. When you feel like you've got it, you know, do a long bend out on your half round, slip it through. I'm holding it on top of the stone here. It's a little awkward, but I'm just going to make that turn and get that wire locked in. And basically with this little pointed stone, you kind of just need these shoulders right here, these curves. I'll make it look better in a second once I get this wire secured. Okay, and once I get that around there, I'll just snip it. So that'll help me hold my stone in place while I'm working these wires, and then I can cinch these up and make them look a little cuter. Just get down here, take that half round and bend it in. It snuggles it up to the stone a little bit. Keep your thumb on the belly. Just do like that. Same thing up here. If you need a little bit of a lift, keep your thumb on the belly. Okay. Then I'll just put a little nice curve to it there. Okay, and it feels wobbly still because we still need to do a lot of other stuff, but it'll help you at least seat this stone so that you can work. You can also tie in these wires without the stone. You know, you can do this bit last even, but sometimes it's easier for us to get the stone locked in first. Alright, so there's that. It's pretty good. And now I pre-did lay your frame down and, you know, gently pat the belly there. I pre-weaved these strips. If you guys are new to weaving, you can watch the weaving video to learn how to do each of these little strips. And basically I'm going to tie each one of these in to this frame. So when I weaved these up, I created a weave that was long enough, you know, for me to get from the top of my frame all the way down to the bottom point. And I gave it another little half an inch in case you turn out some curve and then it costs wire, right? Alright, so let's tie this in. Alright, so I have several weaved strips here that I've pre-done that I'm going to add on to this frame. And if you don't know how to weave and you don't know how to do these strips, you can watch the weaving video that shows us how to do some of these patterns. I'm basically using 20 gauge round wires, soft copper, for the base wires, and I'm using 28 gauge weaving wire for the different weaves and coils that I have on them. I instructed in the video for 8 inches to cut your base wires 8 inches long, and that's because we were in membership, we're doing a bigger pendant. But you could probably have your base wires to about 6 inches for this size pendant, okay? So I'm just going to start with my most intricate weave here, and I'm going to snip my ends off. I'm going to shorten this up because, like I said, I have really long wire. So basically we want about an inch of bare wire before your weave starts. And I've weaved my wires enough that I can curve around, you know, this frame and make this weave come down here. Okay? If I didn't have enough, I might need to add some weave, and I might after I turn this over. So the way I like to do this is to get your round nose, and basically at the base of your weave strip where the bare wire starts, just make a little hook. The first place I'm going to attach is right here. I'm going to flip this weave over the bail and travel it down the body. So I'm going to make a little hook out of the bare wires and just kind of pull them off to the right hand side a little bit. I've got my half round living up here. Just going to hook in to the frame right here. I'm going to put my weave straight behind my bail, and I've got these bare wires, you know, turned a little bit so that I can tie them on. And you might be on your down there on your board. I'm up here in the air for the camera. But basically you want to get a nice fit right there around the frame with these 3 wires and just work them one at a time. Keep the weave straight behind the bail. And I just bent them down with my fingers here. Hold everything, and you can use your plier to help you tighten that up. Just keep your weave up here. Let me turn it this way, actually. It'll be easier for you to see and easier for me to do. Before I snip those off, because, you know, it gives me leverage to have this little bit of wire here, I'm going to use the half round, and I'm going to come through the bail a couple of times and all the way around these weaves. I want them a little bit off to the right to help me tie them on, right? Since I have the half round, I'm going to stay low on the bail. I'm only going to make a couple of wraps because I might need this half round to get some more later on to do other wires. Okay, and that helps you, and it helps you to get some leverage onto these. Make a nice clean wrap and then cut them off with a couple of millimeter, just enough so that you can turn them down and inside this frame. Okay, just let them live right there nice and neat. Don't make them so long that they poke out the front. Mine are a little bit long. I'll just trim them up. I'm going to cover them so it's not an urgent thing, but just for good habits, you know. If I wasn't covering that space up, that might have mattered. All right, so just leave your half round up here. Once you get your weave strip attached, just use the bail, come around the bail, come straight down the front of your pendant. Try not to distort your frame too much. And you might have to, you know, lay it down and give a little push right there. Make it form a little, you know, form to your frame here. Don't crush anything too much. Hold everything. Just work gently with everything. Use your thumbs and follow the contour of your frame. And I'm going to go just to the outside of my stone here. I'm going to use the edge of the stone. Hold all this. This is nice and flat. Just use the edge of the stone. Take these 3 wires. Kind of turn a nice curve. Just like that. So that they come and crisscross down here. Okay? I probably need to add a little wire, and that's okay. Because, you know, sometimes you need to attach these long strips, like here and here, maybe. Down here I'm going to attach anyway, but if I find that this is flapping too much, I might need to pierce that weave and put a couple of ties right there. I'm going to add more wire on top of here, so I probably won't need to do that, and this is a smaller frame. And right here, I'm a little short if I want this same weave to go all the way down here. Otherwise, you know, I could just leave it bare, or I could switch the weave, or I can add on a little wire here and go the distance. So just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead and add a little wire. I'll get some 28 gauge here, and I'll get a couple of feet of it because this isn't a very big space. So I just need to finish up about a ½ an inch there, make it fit the frame. While I'm here and attaching new wire, I have the opportunity to tie onto this frame anyway, right? So I can go ahead and use the base frame down here. I'm going to stick a couple of inches through there so that I can tie it later. I'm going to go ahead and start weaving on these wires right here in the same pattern. I call this pattern just 1 over 1, you know, 1 coil over 1 frame wire. And sometimes you have to weave on the frame, like we attached this, right? If I had recognized that I was short and wanted to weave before I tied it up at the shoulder, I could have done that. So again, I'm just adding some weave here. I've got my other wire that I'm going to tie down there or later. But I'm just going to weave until I make it to here. Just makes it hard on your hands, you know, to hold everything together while you weave on a frame. So this could probably be a little bit neater, but I'm trying to just show you for the sake of it. That's probably all I'm gonna do right there. And back here, I've got this wire that I've left myself. I'm gonna go ahead and get my strip laying down on the frame nice. And then I'll just use this wire right here and tie on to this frame. And I'll make just 4 or 5 nice wraps because it's 28 gauge. It's pretty small. Just enough to help me hold that strip there. I'm going to add more. Okay, so that's good. Snip that off. Make sure nothing's poking. I'm going to tap this weave a little bit. Okay, so once you get, I'll go ahead and take this guy off too. I'm just doing that a little bit quick. You know, you want to snip those out where they're not going to be felt or seen. I'm going to bring wire on top of it. So now that I've got a nice shape, you know, trailing down my pendant here, I'm going to hold everything. My 2 wires are straight. My strip is laying down nice on my frame. And I'm going to take a bend right here with all 3 of them. Just back bend them straight across that bar, just like that. It's a little hard on your fingers. You can get a plier and help you a little bit. Get your nylon jaw. Don't crush it. Just give it a slight tap for hardening. Okay, and so there's one strip that's on the frame. I leave those there in case I want them for design later. I'm just going to shift my little stone a little bit. And now I've got another one that I've done for the other side. Same thing, I'm going to clean these little wires up here. And I'm going to snip mine short because they were a little bit long. I'm going to leave this little bit of wire here. I might need to tie something on, and I've got some room for design if I want it. And this time I'm going to go to the opposite side with this one. I got a shoulder there. So I'll take my pliers and just give a bend here at the bare wires and make a hook. And this time my hook needs to go that way, right? Because I'm on the other shoulder. So just get a little turn going that way. Hook into the shoulder there and just kind of align to the back of the bale next to the other one. Hold on to everything. You could also be laying this down on the board here, so it'd be a little easier for you to turn these wires over. I might go upside down, make it easier. I'm going to hold it right there at the shoulder the best that I can. my first priority is to get these 3 turned over, and if you do them one at a time, it'll be easier trying to move all 3 of them. Just get them turned and tied on like that. Come back here. You can snip them in a minute, but push them down, and I would hold on to them for a second, right? So you have some leverage. Then now your weave is up here. You have your half round here to help tie this against the frame. It gets bulky, these add-ons, if you're going to do, and I'm going to use the space below the open bail. It gets a little bit bulky up here sometimes. Lay it flat. But I find that if you leave this little half round, it'll help you tie these strips up here nice and tight. Just make sure it's facing forward there. Okay, and we'll keep that still, right? So the pendant is still nice. Everything is, you might have been doing that here, down here, because it might have been easier than doing it up here in the camera. All right, so I'm going to take this one now. I'm going to go lower than this one. I'm going to flip just over the shoulder here. So I'm going to cause a bend right there. Just treat it, treat it like one big wire. Bend it over. Lay it down nice. And then hold it right here and get a little bend on it that matches your frame. Kind of slope down the other side of your stone here. Just use the stone. You'd be doing this, again down here. Be easier for you to hold everything. Just move these 3 wires together and come across the other set. And I like these little guys to show. So our half round here, make sure that stays above ground. Make sure your stone didn't shift too much. Need a bigger bend on this, I think. Just put my thumb right here to help me bend this stack of wires. And I just want to cross the center down here and make nice, elegant shape. Okay, so it's hard sometimes to do these, but you see how I'm just bracing on my thumb to get the curve. Okay. So now down here, I've got this bit that's still there. If I'm happy with everything, and it's laying down nicely and where I want it to, I'm going to hold everything together and just make a nice, hold this so it doesn't move as you make a nice back bend in all 3 of those wires. Once you get it done, you can get your nylon jaw, give it a slight tap for hardening. Don't crush it. Okay, so you're like this. Up here, I'm going to cut these away now. I'm going to lay these 3 down. Against the frame. Nice and tight. I want my half round up here. You see how it's crossed 2 whole strips, so it's going to be a little loosey-goosey. You can pass through one of them. Oh, it's a little bit tight. I say you can pass through one of them. Maybe you can't. I'm going to go through here one more time. It gets a little bit tough to work into tight places. There it goes. So I'm going to just wrap, once around in here so that I don't have such a long stretch of wire. That way that one loop right there is all nice and secure. Then I've got it here ready for me to use if I need it. Otherwise I'll cut, I might do that one more time and cut it off in there so it's not seen. Okay? Woo! Alright, you guys. Woo! Woo! Everybody breathe. Lay your beautiful pendant down. Gently push the belly. Don't put too much pressure on your stone. Take this and tap that weaved intersection. And then up here, if you need to make some adjustments for elegance, just work gently with your weave. Curve it as you need to. Okay? All right, you guys. Woo! The next one gets a little tighter. If you want to add more wire, we might not even need to, right? You could stop right here and just put a bead ball right there. Bring these wires up the belly for some decoration. But if you wanted to layer another strip, you could get something like this, which is just a coil strip. Right? I put 2 of them together, and then I just did a simple coil all the way down for the distance that I need. And sometimes it's really neat to, layer a second one. I've got room to dive in right there and tie off. I could swing it to the back. It'd probably be odd to do that, but, I could slope it down this way and swing it to the back. But this is a pretty one. So I think I might do that. If it doesn't work out, just cut it off. Okay, so I'm taking the ends off of it. And I'm going to come up here, just give myself about 1 inch. And I'm going to bend this over into a little hook. And I'm going to turn it off to the right hand side a little bit. Because yet again, I'm going to try to hook into this space. I still have a shoulder pad right here, and not so much on that one, but a little one right here. So I'm going to come in here, try to get my wires in between there. Sometimes you have to fiddle it a little bit. So I've just got them skirted into that space right there so that I can get onto this side shoulder right here. Okay. And the same as the first one, I'm going to hold my weave right behind the bail. I'm going to come in between that space is why. Keep up here as close and tight to it as I can. Use your plier to help you turn this wire to catch the frame. And then you can bring this straight up the back, nice and neat. You have your half round right here that you can catch it with if you need to. I'm not going to do that just yet. And I'm going to bend right down here, kind of trace over the edge of this one. And this double coil, wants to do this, and that's okay. You just take your nylon jaw and get the wires, going. I like to stay on top of the first one. That's just me. You can do whatever you'd like. Then I like to skirt it over a little bit. Probably have to tie that, but who knows? We got the half round here. It might work out for us. I don't have much, so I might have to add some. I'll worry about that later. So right here, I'm going to make sure to just follow the edge of my previous weave. Just use your fingers and the belly of the stone to help you curve. You can lay that edge right down the front, just like that. I'll show you how to tie things in a minute. So we can dive into there. You know, I certainly could come down here and pass through there again, or I didn't crush that space. You know, had I known I was going to do this second wire up here, if I wanted to go through there, I can still add it, right? So if I want to do that, look, I'm going to hold everything right here. Just bend these out, lift this, right? I'm going to get these other wires passed in there. That's why I leave that long run, because, you know, I didn't have to bend up my nice stuff up here. You have to reshape a little bit because we pulled out. And then right here, bend it straight back, just like the other one. Just straight back. Okay, and now we can return this one. And now we can return this one back into position here. And just, you know, fold those wires right back over. And then we have this, you know, nice added strip. So I'm going to take my second one. I have another one that I did, and I'm going to kind of, you know, do the same thing. I'm going to think about it for a minute and see where I want to insert this. I might do it right over here and keep it consistent, come along the inside. I think that's probably to make it easy what I'm going to do. So I'll just clean this up a little bit. Just snip mine a little shorter. Make it a little hook here at the end. And since it's going on the left, I think the spot's going to be, you know, probably right over those. Sometimes you have to do that. So I'm going to slip in right here the best that I can. Oh, while I'm here, actually, I forgot to snip these off and turn them down. So I'll do that. Just lock them into place right there. And now back to this one. I want to bring, you know, this wire down along the inside. So I think what I'm going to do is slip onto the frame right here. Put a little bend on these. Sometimes you're not sure how you're supposed to approach it until you get in there. What I'm looking to do is just get those two wires right through the frame here, in between this weave and the main frame, so that I can attach this coiled strip. I'll just work this in here carefully until I get these two wires landed. Keep this one kind of pressed up this way. And I'll turn these two wires over the frame and lock them into this space eventually. But for right now, I'm just going to hold on to those for leverage. Come back to this side. Just work this coil over your frame, and I might just turn that out slightly. Just push with your finger right here. Make it live right there. Gets a little thick. It's okay. That's why I try to teach us this way, because you know it's bulky up here no matter what, but if you can keep it neat, then it's nicer, at least somewhat. I hope so anyway. So I'll just hold it right there and shape it to the edge of my other weave. Bring it down right along here. Move this little wire. And I'm just going to fold it all the way back, making sure that this doesn't move too much right here when I do it. So we'll have to maybe tie those. We'll see once we lay all the decorative wire over it if we have to tie any of it. So if you don't want that little banding to show, you can stuff it in there like that. That looks pretty good. You can get your nylon jaw and do a very careful and controlled squeeze on that. Try to tighten that up a little bit there. Get it this way. Okay. You don't need to push it too far. And then if you feel like you need to grab it, you still got the little half round here, right? I'm just going to use it. It's turned over, but I'm okay. Just going to use it where it is. And I'm going to make a couple of wraps to catch this guy and keep him in place. I'll just trim it out right in there, low and deep, where it'll never be felt. Okay, once it's turned over, you've got it, you know, cinched up, tied on. You've got a nice lay on your coil. Go ahead and get these two tidied up. Snip those out and leave a little bit. Pinch these in the best that you can. Just nice and neat and tidy right there. That's pretty good. So you have that little bit of decoration there now. You can lay your frame down, you know, press everything. Don't squish everything, but just make sure you got a nice lay on these wires, like that. Okay. And here's the one we folded over. Okay. So I've got a lot of design wires available to me down here now. This is pretty much all the all the weave that I'm going to put on my strips. And so I'm going to start to terminate and tighten up some of these wires, and then I'm going to flip these over to the other side for design. And why I'm flipping the right hand side over is because these wires come down like this. So I have clear, you know, a nice slope. If I tried to take these onto the stone, it would be kind of bulky right there, right? So I'm just going to get rid of these on this side. I'll make sure this last coil is on there, and I'm going to find some nice, decent places to tie off. The best place is simply right around this bar. So I'm going to take these two first, or these three, right around here. And I'm just going to do a very close snip right there. And then I'm going to pinch these nice and tight right there around that bar to close them. This one I might not be able to grab so much, so maybe I'll take it more around, make sure nothing moves. I think I can do it right there. So I'm going to snip them right here, give myself a couple of millimeter, turn these neatly and tightly inward so that they hook, and then pinch them in tight so that they don't let go. We didn't distort anything on this side when we did that, so that was nice. Okay, I'll get rid of this little guy. Don't need him anymore. And then now I'm going to bring some design onto the front. I'm going to lay this down and just make sure my stone is getting nice and snug in there. These I'm going to bring to the front for some design. So bring them over, just like that. Straighten them out. You can bring them right up here into some pretty stuff. You can bring, some of them up here to the left. So I'm probably going to swing these two over onto the frame. Oop. Oh, there's 3 here. Sorry. These 3 onto the frame. And you just do that one at a time. Just like that. Okay. And then these we can swing up onto this side. Just bring them over. Just make it cute. Little sweeping curve this way and catch your stone. And when we flip these back, see, we're going to seal these wires down, so we don't necessarily, need to do any sewing to attach them. We can keep them secure this way using the decorative wire. So you can do curly here, you can do whatever you want. I'm probably just going to do a nice turn to the back just to make it elegant. I'm going to cut and dive and tuck my wires right in there. So I'll hold this, turn them so I've got a nice little curve there. Pinch, pinch in helps me hold all this together. And cut off enough here that you can curl them back and lock them in there into that little crevice. These might be a little bit long actually. So I'll hold them right here so they don't move. Then I'm just going to take these and turn them into the frame. Pinch them in nice and secure one at a time. I probably could have gone a little shorter, but that's okay. You get the idea. That'll stay. That's pretty good. Okay. And with these, I can do some kind of fun something, or I can trim them and dive them into the space, right there if I don't want them, or I can sweep them off to the right. I also have these 2 very thick wires down here, which I'm going to go ahead and bring up to the top so that I know what I want to do with my design here. Just keep things under control as you work. Actually, this one, maybe I will sweep it more over this way. That's what's fun. You can kind of change your mind. do like that. Trim it. Hold it where it's supposed to be. Dive it into the frame. Make a nice curling lock right there. Okay, that's nice. I could have coiled that for some interest if you wanted to. And now let's look at these two below. Let's go ahead and take them up. So I'm going to take this first one to the right hand side. I'll just grab it about 2 or 3 millimeter down here. Bring it straight up. You can get this one just right below it. So you have a little varying length there. And just straight up my stone. I'm going to hold these right here. Turn one out. I'm going to hold the tip of this one. Turn it this way. Or however you like, right? And that kind of lands my thick wire up here. Actually, I might change my mind and bring them both this way. I think this is too much, so I'm going to get rid of some of that. And that's what's wonderful about this framing style, is that you can literally just go with your flow, change your mind as you start to land some of these wires. I cut them, I folded them back and pinched them neatly down. So now I'm just a little bit cleaner in the front here. And I'll take these, kind of turn a nice curve. If I want to add a little pinch to here, just help me. I'm not crushing it, I'm just kind of giving it a tension squeeze there. A little bit of a squeeze. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now I can turn this one. I've got this nice belly space I can fill up here. So I'm hold it here, just turn it over. Maybe I'll make a cute curl or something, spiral into there. And then I've got this one, I'm holding it right here. Just gonna follow my frame a little bit, get a nice elegant curve. I could even turn this one back a little bit. Hold it right here. Get a nice back turn on it, and then I can make a little back curl. Okay, so let me cut this. Cut about right here. I think I'm going to cut this one about right there. Get my round nose. And up here, grab the end of that wire and just make a nice elegant turn. Just get a nice little spiral there. I'm going to clean up this, just make it a little more elegant. Oh, I say clean it up and then I wrecked it. It's okay. I just wanted to make that curve a little better. I want to hammer that, so it's okay. Okay, so I think that'll look pretty good once it's done. And then this one, get my round nose, give it a bit of a turn there. I'm kind of changing my mind on this curl up here. I don't know if I take that. We'll see. Let's see, it might be good. We'll hammer it. I might change some of this. It's kind of bugging my eye here. I might actually do it now. I take this one out of the game. So I'm going to release the hook. Cut it back a little shorter. I'm going to dive it into that space there, just like I did the other two. So I'll trim it down there. Get my little plier and give it a downward turn. Get on top of it and scooch it all the way under. And just go like that. And I think that looks better. So I'm going to take this top curl and shorten it. Into just a little bit like that. I think I like all that better. So now I'm going to hammer these. Get my bench block out. They're not tied in yet, so I'm going to hold right here at the hinge and just bring this all the way out 90 degree. Don't change anything. Just bring it out so you can hammer it. And you can hammer it to your liking, you know, sand it, clean it up, and then you can fold it back up onto the stone. Hold the tip and then push back slightly. That should lay it back down for you. And then this one will do the same. We'll clean them up a little bit more, pull them out, and then I'm just going to hammer right along here, flare this tip out. Take that curved wire a little bit more, sand all that. For the sake of time, I'm not doing it in this video, but you could sand those while they're out here. Sand, file them to shape. So just hold the tip of this down. It isn't going to want to lay down, right, because we pulled it out. So you just put your plier here, give a little backward tension on it. While you hold the tip down, I'll lay it back down for you. Just going to turn that tip in a bit. I'm going to push these a little bit more to the side here. Okay, and that's pretty good. I love that. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to sand all of this. I'm going to file these, right? And then I'm going to put them all back. And we'll probably add a couple of bead balls and call it good. Make sure everything's tied down. So I'll be right back. We're almost done. All right, that looks really beautiful. And now I have some choices. You know, I can start to, if I need to sew some of these down and together, because you see our frame can still separate a little bit here. I can do that if I don't want to add anything. I could dive a faceted gem in there and use the wires to, you know, make nice decoration here and basically cinch this together, right? I might do that. And before I do anything though, I want to make sure, since we've just done all of this and we've adjusted, you know, these back down onto our stone, just want to make sure that the stone is sitting nice and forward in the frame. So just check the back. Make sure that your stone didn't shift too much with all this nice work. If it's feeling a little loose, mine, you know, I'm going to pinch it in a little bit. So I'm going to take my flat nose plier so that I have a nice meaty plier. And I'm just going to grip this wire right here, right, this one. I'm going to hold everything with my thumb. No drastic moves. Just a nice inward bend. That'll help you to hold the tip of the stone forward a little bit. Okay, just like that. Everything is nice. It just gives a little more stability there. And, now I can adjust my frame with just my fingers here. Now that my stone is sitting. Just pinch in a little bit, skinny up the neck, make it elegant. Sit it down, push lightly. Make sure that things are laying together nicely. And then let's make a decision about that. Maybe just one little bead ball, right? So pretty. I don't want to add too much. Maybe a little bead ball there. You can stitch these two together. I probably would, if, because they're pretty long stretches. They're hardy, and they're laying down nicely, but I would still put a little stitch here, so we'll do that. Or you could weave these, or put 2 or 3 little wraps right there and cure it. I'm going to fiddle these so that they lay down just a little bit more. I'm going to hold the tip down. And do you see when I pushed the tip down how it kind of adjusted this up a little bit? So that's kind of what we need to do. Let me get it upside down. So I'm going to hold the tip of that down, and I'm not going to do anything other than give a little upward pressure right here. I'm not gripping my wire. Just get that point to lay down a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to take the tip of it, and I'm actually going to push. Hold your stone steady if it needs to, if you need to do this. Just kind of push that tip down. It's laying nice and down. Okay, just so you don't have any points turned up. If you can't do it with your fingernail, you can always take the plier and very, very gently, get pressure here so that you can slightly tilt that tip down. Just like that. Okay, and that way you don't have, it looks nice still, but you don't have an open tip that can snare. So anyway, then we'll tie these two with a stitch because I kind of really love them as bare wire here. Let's get a piece of 22 gauge half round wire just for some texture. You can cut it about 6 inches. And I'm just going to make a few wraps around these guys right here. I'm going to try to do one strategically around this coil as well. I don't know if I'll get it, but we'll see. So I'll start over here. Whichever way it's easier for you to hold. And again, this is 22 gauge half round wire. Giving myself a little bit of space here, but I'm holding on to the tip here of these two wires so I can work my half round into a few wraps that are decorative but also functional to hold these two nice together. Just wrap a few to your liking. Just work real steady. Make sure you don't have any bubbles. All the wraps are nice and even. After a few of them, just tap them down. That's pretty. Scooch it up a little bit. I like it up a little bit better. So I'll get it up here just until I feel the tension where these two wires get wider than my wraps. And I'm going to try to dive once all the way around the coil as well this time. Get it into place. Try to make sure that you don't got too much slant there so it's easier for you to get around. See, I've looped the coil underneath, so that helps me hold onto the frame here. You know, keep these two landed to the frame. And I'll go one more. Try to get into place and then cinch it up. Okay, that looks pretty good. I probably could have gotten that a little bit closer. That's okay. It looks pretty nice. So to get rid of this, you can do yours, you know, the way you like. I'm going to cut that off, turn that tip down, get on top of it, and just pat it down. And then if I don't want to do anything more here, I can cut it off and do the same, but I have the opportunity to dive through the frame and attach to the back if I needed to, you know, really pull my frame together any more than this. I don't, so I'm probably just going to make it easy on myself and on you and cut it right there. Turn it down, get on top of it. Tap it over nice and clean. Make sure it's either long enough. Mine is at the odd length you don't want to be. You want to make sure you're long enough to get into here. I cut it a little bit too short, so just to hide it, or at least, you know, get underneath here more neatly than I did. I might remove that one. But anyway, that's very pretty. Okay, so I think I'm going to add this little purple gemstone to the top here. That might be cute right up there. So let's see what we can do. I've got 12 inches of 22 gauge round wire, and I'm just going to do a simple capture on this little gemstone. Make a little loop like this. Make the loop about the size of your gemstone, the bottom of it, so that it can sit on top of there. Make mine a little bit more round. Okay. Ooh, it's a little squirrely. Get your gemstone on top of that loop. And then come around it. And just coil up the side of it. It's hard for me to stay up here in the camera, but you get the idea. Keep coiling all the way until you get over the shoulders of it. It's kind of do this back and forth thing to cause some tension in your wire. Take the spring out of it. I like to get, you know, up here onto the shoulder so I know it doesn't go anywhere. Right? And then once it's there, go to the back and make sure you got that loop, you know, solidly on there too. I like to just do a couple extras to give it some more support, and then you kind of bring them together like this at the top. Put the back one straight up. Hold on to the face of this one. Turn it back. Make sure you got that gemstone, that it doesn't slip away. Just turn around and get the one wrap on it. Get a little plier and help you. Oh, right there. Okay. Nice little pinch right here and turn everything up. So now you have these two wires and you have this little gemstone you can add onto here somehow, right? So if I don't really want to take these over, I can use them like a pin. I make this a little tighter. You know, it might get a little tricky for you to do this. You just practice. I have midway station. You can make something like that. I have several tiny little stone capture videos you can watch. I'll link them at the back of this video, at the end of this one. So if I don't want to use them, make sure that loop is nice and tight. Turn them back. And then you can, I'm going to go this way. Pass in here so that it's facing up. I think that's going to be my best route. You do yours the best for your pendant. Ooh. I'm just passing through that space to get my wires up here so that I can land this gemstone just like that. I like that. I have the wires going to the back. I'm going to pull it up slightly. You know, they've just come from the back right through the top, you know, just right over the gemstone there, so nothing fancy. I'm going to pull them up slightly here, up the back, to raise my gem a little bit because I want to. And if you want to terminate them, you know, find a way to do it attractively, but since we need to tie some strips together, you might as well use the opportunity while they're up here to do that, right? Just keep your finger on your little gemstone. After, whoop, see, I just kind of mushed my coil up a little bit. That's okay. Just make it fit in there a little better. Don't be so rough with yours. Take your time. Okay, make it lay down nice. And then use this, you know, to come through here and get your frame if you need to. So like, let's say I needed to tie these two together a little bit, or even just secure them. I don't even need to pass through anything. Come back here and hold it all in place and then make a few wraps around the outside frame here, the main frame. Nice and tight, but not so crushing that you devastate what you've just done. See, beautiful. And now this is tied together. I'm not worried about these two pulling apart so much. And that's all I needed to do there. If I want to get rid of it, I can cut it off. If I want to use it some more, I can pass it, you know, it's attached. So I can just turn the corner here. If I want to add a little something more, I'm not going to, but I'm just showing you how to do it if you want to. I'm going to just flip over to the front here. See, so I could just, you know, go another little curly or something there if I want to. I do not, so I'm going to cut it off. Right here at the back, once I get a nice loop, I'll give myself a couple of millimeters so I can tighten it all up. Dive that inside. Okay. That's that one. So now I have this one. Make sure it's pulled up nice. Probably help pull the other side of my gemstone in place. Let it come down the front here. See if I have enough to do anything. If I don't, I'm not going to make it odd or awkward. I'm just going to tie it off in the back. Do I love that? Do I need it? I'm not sure I love it. Unless I come back through and, drop a curl or something there, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to come here in the back. I want to find out where I can tie this out. I'm going to do this back here and get these two so that this one lives more stable and I don't have to make decoration. There's a space right here. You just look at yours. See it? I'm going to turn this tip so that I come back through these two. Just work carefully. See how I got those two? Now this one is pretty captured, by that one loop. I don't have to do anything more with this little wire. If I don't want to, I tuck it right there, cut it off. Make sure my chain's not going to get it, because my chain's going to come through this one. But if I want to do something cute, since it's, attached, I don't know if I want to do anything cute. We'll see how cute I want to get. I am going to tap these together a little bit from the back. Do I want to do anything? I don't. Stop trying. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of it. Cut it and tuck it right there. Give yourself enough that it's not just living on that edge, that it's, enough to get in there. Or go around this coil. Maybe that's better. No, I'm going to go inside. So I'm going to tuck mine down here. If you get that nice, it shouldn't go anywhere. Kind of, holds all this a little closer together, and you should feel that that's pretty cinched up. My stone won't have the opportunity to go anywhere. I think this is all secure enough that it isn't going to lift, And I'm going to lay my pendant down. I'm going to make loving taps to settle the pendant. Make sure I'm living level. And if you want to add some bead balls in there, you have some space to pass a couple through, tie onto this back here somewhere. You can pass another bead ball or gemstone through there if you want. I think I'm going to call this one done. I love it. I'm going to grab my chain. I love the elegance of it. I might put a bead ball or two in there. We'll see. We'll see. You can do it if you want to, but for now, I'm going to call it done. So pretty and so elegant. That's going to be beautiful once it's all polished up. And if you feel like, anything's going to lift, just make sure you tie it back. That's all. On yours. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for being here and creating with me, and I hope you enjoyed this. There's always something. I'm going to turn these out. I'm looking at these down here and I want a little more elegance. So from the back, I'm going to try to get a wire, plier between them and just turn them out slightly. They're tied together, so don't wreck all that. right? Just make a little elegance. It's kind of manhandling them when I pulled these out. There, that's cuter. Much more elegant. Okay? You wouldn't think that the little bits, but they matter. See, that mattered. It's much cuter. Okay, you guys, enjoy yours. We'll see you for the next one. Alright, so I did add a couple of bead balls on another piece of 22 gauge round, and basically just, strung the wire back here, fed it back up again, tied it all off right around there, drop the bead balls there. It helps me to hold this a little bit tighter together as well, and I think I am going to add one over here as well, because I kind of feel like I want something more on this side. There's nothing here that's holding these two frame wires together, and I don't feel like piercing the weave to tie on. So I'm going to get a piece of 22 gauge round like the other side and just be decorative about it. You can do yours to your imagination, but I thought I would just throw this in here. In case you need to, cinch yours up. I feel like right here is where I want it. So there's a nice place to dive into the frame right there. Okay. Gonna grab the main frame back here and just give myself a couple of inches. I cut this 12 inches of 22 gauge. Just give yourself some wire and then do something decorative, right? So let me see what I do. I'm going to hold on to just this part of it for right now. But I might take this longer part down the frame. I don't want to do curlies is why I'm thinking. But I think I'm going to swoop nicely. See, I have the main frame. Now I have my two wires here. Just elegantly swoop to the back. I might dive back up through here. Just like that. Don't pull too tight until you're certain about where you're going. This is the upper wire. Trying to make things a little more elegant. Gonna turn the end of this way. See, I could have also, I can remove those wraps and, just use this. And I think I kind of like that. It gives me some added security with these two strips over here. Make that a little more elegant. And then I'm gonna just turn it up. So right here's where I go through. Put a little curl on there if you want to. I'll do it just to show you the tiniest little curl. Then I'm going to find a nice place to tie this off up here. So what I might do, I don't have very much. See if I can get around. Ooh, don't have very much. Maybe I can just tuck it in there. Maybe I can attach it over here. Maybe I'll just clip it out. Or maybe I can bring it back into this space. Yeah, maybe I can do that. I think I got a little room to dive in there, so I'm going to do that. to the back of the frame there. Don't push, don't pull too hard. Just skirt your gemstone. Get landed on the frame right there. Make sure you take the slack out. It's decorative, but it's also for the purpose of holding these two wires together. So you want to make sure that, you know, it serves its purpose while it looks pretty as well. So before I cinch everything up, I'm going to get some nice wide pliers. I'll lay this down. I want to make sure that there's no slack back here. I like the way that looks pretty good. And then I can find a place back here to terminate this length of wire. Oof, might have to lap this shoulder. I'm getting super tight on space. If it gets really bad and you can't tie off anywhere, you can tie on, right? So I don't really have a secure place that this thing will reach. So what I might do at the end of the day is just put a couple of wraps of half round right here. Tie these two together and then curl this one right into that space. So I'm going to make the curl now. It'll remind me later that I'm going to stitch this piece. And the curl's not such a bad thing. It'll help me kind of give a little spot right there that's nice on the back. And then we'll stitch those two together, okay, to make this stay. Okay, and that holds these two strips nicely. This bit right here. It's laying down nice. And then down here, do the same thing. This is where our wire's exiting. Keep my finger there. Just make a nice, cute back coil if you want to. You know, figure out where it fits best or where it looks best for you. I think I'll just go like that, and then I'm going to end it by taking this one through these two. Keep your finger right there so you can pull without wrecking your design. When you get to the bottom here, I should not have cinched it up. See, that's what I say. Just going to cut it. And then just go back and forth gently while pulling a little bit to get the slack out of that. Return the elegance there. Then you can just end it in there. And now the pendant is very secure. Nothing's going to let go. Or nothing should let go. And I'll stitch that piece as the last bit I've got left. Woo! So pretty. Okay, lay it down. Just do some loving taps to settle it. Don't stress your stone. Make sure your grace is all back in it. And that it's level. I love that. I love that with the extra little bit of wire up there. I'm just gonna push that in a bit. Okay. Woo! I love it. All right, you guys. And that's how you do these. So I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little bit, but it looks clean. It's clean in the back. You know, if you feel anything, get a little sandpaper on it. Put your favorite chain through it. I've got, this is 1.5 millimeter ball chain here, and I love it. Goes really well with most of our pendants. We use it quite a bit in the membership. All right, woohoo! All right, congratulations. You should pat yourself on the back for this one. That was a lot. Enjoy, you guys, and we'll see you for the next one. Thanks for being here. Please leave a comment, hit the like button if you enjoyed this project, and please subscribe. So thanks, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you for the next beautiful pendant.